Welcome to the Flute Center of New York. For those of you who haven't been here before, we have a masterclass today with Ebonee Thomas, sponsored in part by Burkhart Flutes and Piccolos. They are actually here today, so if you have time after the class, feel free to stay, speak with Ethan, who's here from Burkhart, and try some of their beautiful flutes and piccolos. Also, if you didn't catch this, we did just do a podcast episode with Ebonee earlier this week, so check that out. Without further ado, though, I will let Ebonee get to it and start our class.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So, as stated earlier, I'm Ebonee Thomas. I'm a flutist with the Dallas Opera, and I teach at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. So I figure we'll have our 3 players come up and play one at a time, and then I'll work with them 15, 20 minutes each-ish. And then I'll leave a little bit of time at the end for a Q&A, so don't be shy. You can ask me anything. And before we get started, I just want to thank Flute Center of New York for having me and Burkhart. So our first player can come on up. So you'll say your name and all that good stuff.
Hello, my name is Lorian Britt. I am an undergraduate freshman at the Manhattan School of Music studying with Linda Chessis. And I'm originally from Dallas, Texas, and I studied with Claire Johnson, who is a teacher we have in common.
We're musically related.
And I'll be performing the 3rd etude of Piazzolla's Tango Etudes.
same teacher in high school. I mean, I'm older than her, but who's counting? First of all, I want to say you're such a soulful player. It's really beautiful. And I love how your air spins, and you're very musical. So I just want to work on two things. One, I want to open up each end of your range a little bit. Just open up your upper register and your lower register. So we might play around with a little bit of like tongue placement and just opening up. And then, if we have time, we're going to talk about the music a little bit. You know, these are these tango etudes, and you know, you kind of got to pretend like you're 3 times your age and you've been smoking packed cigarettes since you were like 7. You know what I mean? So we're going to like pull that out of you a little bit. So, can you play, let's see, maybe just the first 2 measures for me? Good. So as we all know, this is like our worst register. And I always say somebody should do a study. I'm like, is it the flute playing that makes us type A, or we type A and we like chose the flute? But I feel like we're always really afraid of like cracking there, right? That's the big thing. So I want you to do a little experiment. And I don't think any of this is going to sound too foreign to you because like we're musically related. But I want you to play the first 2 measures. And I don't want you to use your tongue. You're just going to use like gut puffs or whatever Claire calls them. And to play the first 2 measures. And then I'll explain things. Yeah, really excellent. So what I had her do was basically articulate without articulating. So she's just using like puffs of air. And for me, that's a really quick diagnostic if you're using enough air. If it blows under a partial, then you need to blow more. If it's over a partial, you need to like aim your air. Hers is really great. So what I want to do is I want you to do it again. I want you to put a little bit more space in your back teeth and like sort of dare to crack. See how much air you can put through the flute in the middle register. Try it one more time. Yeah, that's way more resonant. So for me, you know, we're always afraid of cracking, and I'm like, I kind of love a good crack. You know, it means like you kind of went for it, you know? But if you don't know, then, you know, you'll never know your potential. So, okay, let's do maybe up until here from the beginning and really stay open. It's okay if you crack. None of us are going to judge you. But the more space you have in your back teeth, the more of like a cave and tunnel you'll have for your air to just like kind of fall out of your mouth, for lack of a better phrase. Okay, so let's do that. And then secondly, because we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, you got to pretend like you've been smoking all those cigarettes and everything, and like you're moving kind of slow because you know, your lungs aren't moving so great. And I want you to be really on the back end of the beat. Dee, beat, da, dee, and just feel the groove. Okay, don't be in a rush. Okay? All right, let's hear it. Yeah, very nice. Now, another thing is because we want to show off as much as possible without people knowing we're showing off. So I want you to enjoy the slurred intervals a little bit more. So make sure that the first note and the second note are really beautiful. What I want to be a little bit more continuous is in between the note. I want more like in between the notes to be just as beautiful as like the actual pitches. So maybe slowly once, just do. What I want you to do is actually do the reverse, which is going to feel really unnatural. I want you to go to the second note with your air direction-wise instead of D, 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 Excellent. Now, here's the trick. Now we have to add those strange accents back in. So now do that, but then put the accents back in. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay, try it. Very good. I loved everything except for this one. The C to the C sharp, I want it to be just as like gross and dirty, down in the nitty gritty, you know? Like you're in some like back alley at 2 o'clock in the morning, like on your cigarette break, you know what I mean? And then you just like dancing with your person, you know? Okay, let's try it again. Good. Last but not least, here, they're little notes, the 16th notes, but I want them to be like really thick underneath the slur. Because again, we're trying to show in a very small amount of time all the control we have. And you have this amazing control. So I wouldn't toss off these 16th notes too much. Make sure that, you know, they're like the younger siblings. They need just as much love as the older ones, you know? Okay, so let's try the beginning one more time. Very nice, okay? Now, it's so beautiful. This is kind of a long phrase, right? So what are some things we can do? I love all of the adjectives you've got in your music, very nice. What is something we can do to kind of keep our audience interested? Because this keeps coming back, right? There's another one. So what are some things we can do? There's no wrong answer.
Yeah, I've tried to have like kind of a different emotion with each of them, especially because the chords are changing too. Like just the whole color. It's like the same general rhythm, but the notes are changing enough to where it shouldn't all sound the same.
Exactly. So what are you thinking for the first one?
The first one is pretty. It's like bold. It sets the tone.
Yes.
And you're kind of a little in your face.
And then keep going. And
I
then
feel like the second one is a little bit less like out there, but still like really intense, just a little bit less.
Okay. And then
I feel like the second one is kind of a little bit darker of an emotion. It's kind of that intensity building more.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some things we can do to make that come alive?
I think
so how would you play this one different from this one?
Probably varying, obviously, like the dynamic a little bit, vibrato, some types of the articulation, how I vary that. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so I love giving this analogy. Do I have any dancers or theater people here? Okay, so your people up close look very crazy. If you've ever seen like a theater, an actor or a dancer, you know, from far away they're really beautiful, but up close their eyelashes are like this long and then a blush. So you're gonna have to really exaggerate these differences so that your audience can tell exactly what you're doing. So now that we've got sort of like the rhythmic and the style, let's play around with like keeping our audience captivated through this whole thing. Let's try it again. Good. Okay, so I want you to, do you articulate this right there on the grace note? Do you do the kick?
I think a little bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so so what I was telling her is that, like, whenever we're down in the low register, it's kind of hit or miss because, you know, our foot joint is like our appendages. When you go outside, right, first thing that gets cold are your fingers, your nose, your ears. So if you're not blowing low notes for a while, then sometimes it just doesn't speak. So a lot of times if I have to articulate down low, then I do the, like, kick. I mean, people call it different things, but instead of articulating, I use my ring finger, just gently nudge it, and it kind of takes the place of my tongue. So instead of going, I do, and it's just sort of a little bit more bulletproof way of getting the notes to speak down there. So if you can start somewhere before, anywhere you want, and make sure you're blowing sort of hot, warm air to keep the back of your throat open, and see if you can kind of dig a little bit more when you get there. Okay. Anywhere you want before that. Good. That's really nice. Okay, so now, we want to show off as much as possible, right? It sounds like, and I was just seeing what you wrote there. So a lot of people like to vibrate on fast notes, which I think is great. But I think, just flatter me once, and I want you to blow just a fast, steady stream of air when you get to that run. I just want it to be a little like thicker and a little bit more in control. Let's see. And then you can go back to being like your regular self once you get here. So let's start in the same spot.
Like before that?
Yeah, okay. Just to get into it. Yeah, so basically air-wise, you're gonna just do this. So it's really hard to separate our air and our fingers, right? You know, it'd just be helpful if I could just be like, ooh, you know. So start right on it and see if you can keep your air fast and steady so it sounds like you're just gliding the back of your fingers over across piano keys, like just like a gliss of notes. Okay? Yeah, that's a great idea. And then open up sort of like you're yawning on the way up. That way your mouth can handle the amount of air that you're trying to put in, out. Good. Let's leave out the grace notes once and just do. Yeah, so just make sure it's always like the middle of the run that kind of like loses the attention. So just make sure that you're really committing to your, like driving, which you're not going to be able to do when you go home for Christmas. So you want to keep your foot kind of on the gas. If you kind of take it on and off, it kind of like putters a little bit. Try it one more time. Let's get into it, and then we're going to skip to another part. Okay. Can you go back here? Okay. Keep that space. Good. Yeah. Good. That's great. So that's something you can learn. Now the can I hear this section? Total character change. Okay. Good. Really, really, really beautiful. Just to get a little bit more character in there, I want you to pretend like you're two different people. So, so I want you this to be a little bit more pesante, and then you're floating and being all like melancholy and soulful. Okay, so two different people. Let's try it right there. Now, and especially because this is marked meno mosso, can you just be like, you know, you're just like not in a hurry. You know, you've had like a long day at work and things are hurting a little bit. You gotta like go home and feed the kids. You know, you're just like in no rush, you know? All right, try it one more time. Take your time. Take your time. Keep going. Change some things up. Yeah, have some fun with it. Like you're improvising. This is kind of where the caffeine kicks back in, right? You get like your second wind, okay? So see, as soon as you get to that tempo primo, complete character change again. So start somewhere before the tempo primo, and I'll just have you play a couple measures, and then we'll move on to the next person. Okay. Yeah, very nice. Very, very, very nice. Let's give it a hand. Yes.
Hi, my name is Melody Shen. I study with Carol Winsent, and I will be playing the Gobert Nocturne Scherzo.
how gutsy you are, you know? It's great. Not afraid of anything. I'm pretty sure someone your age invented those like extreme sports, you know, where you like jump out of planes head first, maybe with the parachute, maybe not. Not me. I'll stay on the ground, thank you. All right, really, really, really beautiful. So musical, and like I said, really gutsy. So a couple things. How do you feel about playing high and soft? Do you like it? Do you feel comfortable? I feel like there are two categories of people.
I feel uncomfortable.
Me too, same Z's. I feel like there are two categories of people. The people who like playing like really loud, and then the really soft people. So I have some things just to get you a little bit more comfortable because you're doing these really like beautiful floaty things in your upper register. So I always tell my students, whenever you're practicing something, you want to make it harder in the practice room so that when you're performing it, it's easier. So we're gonna do a little exercise. You've done harmonics before, right? All right, so let's play your low C, and we're just gonna go up a partial, and you're gonna articulate it. So you're gonna play your low C, and just hold it. Good, and then you're gonna articulate, and the C above is gonna speak. And then keep going, a next partial. Next. Good. So what that tells me is that you just undershoot it a little bit. So I want you to make sure you blow a little bit faster and just bring your lips a little bit more forward. Okay, let's try that one again. Let's see. Beautiful. Keep going. See if you can get the E. So, there you go. Then G. Good. So let's do the whole series one more time. Low C. Now here comes the E. And the... Good. So harmonics are harder to do because we've got all this resistance, right? Like that's like the one thing about our instrument is we don't have a whole lot of resistance. We have to kind of create it with our embouchure and all of that stuff. So if you can get these beautiful high notes out with the harmonics, then they should be really easy. So I have a piccolo job, so specifically in an opera. So sometimes I'm sitting there for literally 45 minutes, just sitting there getting cold, and then some composer decided to write a high pianissimo A flat out of nowhere, you know? So I have to kind of be ready to do that. So what I do is I'll practice it on a harmonic. That way I know exactly what my face needs to do, my air needs to do when I have to do it for real. So now we kind of like warmed up on that. Let's try this last one. So I want you to finger a low F. It's gonna be way easier than the one you just did. And then I want the F 2 octaves higher to speak. And then try the... Good. Now I want you to do it again, and I want you to do it pianissimo. Good. Now add a little bit of vibrato like you would play it, and add a taper. Yeah, really good. So as we get softer, we have to kind of do this with our air to keep the lower partials out. So try it one more time and see if we can keep from getting the lower partials in there. Yeah, so I know it's gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable. It always feels like you're doing when really it's just like this, like a skosh forward. Just bring your bottom lip a little bit more forward, and I think you'll be happy with the result. Try it one more time. Yeah, and then I always give the analogy, if you ever watch string players, once they take their bow off the instrument, they're still kind of vibrating in their left hand. So even after the note has dissipated, blow past the silence. That makes sense, okay? Now let the note go away. See? You can hold it forever. Okay, now I'm gonna torture you a little bit, but you're young and gutsy, so you can handle it. I want you to start somewhere in here, and you can go under tempo if you want, like right here. And when you get here, I want you to play the harmonic, and then we'll take the harmonic out and do it for realsies. I know, it's weird, You can handle it though. Into nothing. Yeah! Now that's way harder to do than the actual high F, right? So now just be you and do the real note. And you can hold it forever now. Ah, beautiful. Did it feel better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very nice. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning, just a little bit, and then we'll do a little bit of the second half. Good. It's so beautiful and so musical. A little bit at the opening, your sound is like a touch billowy. And I want to see if what's happening is your embouchure is a little bit like oblong. So I want to see if you can get like sort of a pinhole opening just to close in the sides a little bit, just to keep your sound from spreading. And then I think you'll feel a little bit better about being able to control everything that you're doing. Do you want to try that just from the opening? Immediately. So great. So just record yourself and make sure. It's so hard sometimes because, you know, up here, you know, your flute's right by your ear. We hear all this junk that we don't hear when the audience isn't here. So record yourself from a distance and then you can hear kind of how your sound is really projecting. Very nice. Okay, let's do a little bit of this. Let's just start the Allegro Vivo a little bit. Very good. Really good. I mean, you've got great fingers. How do you feel about double tonguing? Pretty comfortable? Medium? Okay. So I always tell people when it comes to articulation, it has way more to do with your air than your tongue. So I think your tongue is in great shape. What I want you to do is not hold back the air. So if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a very visual person. So if you turn on a water faucet, right? You can run your hand through the water, but the water doesn't stop, right? So I want you to do it again and make sure that you are blowing through the articulation, and I think it'll be a little bit more enunciated. Because I think your tongue itself is fine. I think it's more of just blowing through the note. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, let's start the beginning again. Good, really good. Can you go somewhere in here that's comfortable for you? I thought this was really great, and then we kind of went back to our ways a little bit. So maybe for now, ignore this diminuendo, and I want you to just crescendo on the way down so you can kind of get used to not stopping your air with your tongue. Anywhere before that is fine. Yeah, good. So don't neglect this measure. I think everything else is really nice. Make sure these are just as pointed and beautiful as the previous measure. Let's do it again. Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, good. All right, now let's just play around with this a little bit, you know? Let's start it. I love what you're doing. I think maybe, let's just play around and see if we can get two different personalities. So you've got this like scherzo, like weirdness, and then it gets a little bit more full here. So once you get here, just play around and see if you can change characters. What are you thinking? What sort of storyline or mood or color are you thinking with this movement?
This one is kind of like a light feather or fairy.
Good. And then what about here?
Maybe like a storm.
I like it. Okay, so it needs to be a little bit, maybe like less controlled sounding, right? So this is really light and controlled, and then here it's chaos, and then back to control. Because again, we want to show off without really showing off as much as possible, right? Okay, so let's play around with that. Let's start here. let's just stretch ourselves a little bit. How soft can you keep this? Like, don't give away that you're gonna crescendo here. Just, and then you can grow. Okay, both times. See if you can like stay controlled, because like we are gonna want to crescendo through that, right? But it kind of gives a mood of like unpredictability. So everybody wants you to do that, but you're not going to. You're gonna have some self-control. So let's try it again. The storm was really great. Let's try it again. Now go for it. Yeah, very nice. I still lose your articulation just a little bit. Okay, so can you go, I won't make you do the whole thing. Maybe let's do 4 measures, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go slow. And I want you to, every time you have an articulated note, you're just gonna use the back of your tongue. Ka, 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 ka. Good. Do you feel like you're manipulating your tongue and your air differently than when you go faster? Or is it about the same? So how is it different in your own words?
I'm trying to get the sound out more when I go slower.
Okay. And do you know how you're getting the sound out more?
Opening?
Yeah. Okay. So now pretend like 3 hours have gone by. And now you're going to try it like slightly more up to tempo. Okay.
Cut or?
Yeah, let's do the cuts one more time. Really great. Okay, now let's go that same tempo and do your regular articulating. Yeah, good. Now, when you crescendo, make sure that the length is uniform. So they're kind of like Legos. If you stack them all on top of each other, they'd be the same. But we're probably out of time, but really beautiful melody. Very nice. Let's give it up for Melody.
Hi everyone, my name is Yi-Chun. I'm not studying at any school because I play flute as a hobby. And I'm actually taking lessons with Nicholas Duchamp and Ebonee Thomas. So I'm going to play the concerto in G major by Stamitz.
Hey, very impressive. Very cool. Okay, so what are some things that you like about this, and what are some things that you want to work on?
What I like about this piece is like, especially for the first movement, is like pretty light and pretty happy. It has like, you know, certain parts is like a marching, but in other parts it has some very interesting phrasing. So
Yes.
that's what I like about it.
Yes. What are some things that you want to work on? Some things that make you uncomfortable, maybe.
Well, what makes me uncomfortable is like my sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you actually have a really like sweet sound that really suits stomachs. But I do want to work on just opening you up a little bit and getting you a little bit more extroverted. So you were dressed perfectly for this concerto, very regal. Okay. So I want to bring that out in the piece, right? So we have this intro. She's got 48 bars of an orchestra or a piano or whatever, right? And then as soon as you come in, you want to be like I'm here. You know, you got like a red feather boa around. Like, stop listening to the orchestra, stop listening to the piano, and listen to me. Okay? So can I hear just your first note? Just. Good. So to me, it sounds like your sound is a little like introverted. You know, like a little bit shy. Right? Would you consider yourself a shy person?
Oh, yes.
Okay, see, nobody believes me, but when I was younger, I was actually shy. I can't shut up now, but I was. So I always tell my shy students that, like, your flute is sort of your protective coat of armor, okay? So you have an alter ego, you know?
Okay.
You know, Beyonce, she has an alter ego, Sasha Fierce. So you have an alter ego, right? Okay, so you're gonna get your stance going, and I want you to just open up. I promise we won't tell anyone if it sounds disgusting, right? Because we're all family here. And I want you to just blow. I want you to blow to the back of the room on that G. Good. So I want you to do it again. And I want you to tell me what the back of your tongue is doing. If it's up in the back, if it's down in the back, all of that. Try it again.
It's somewhere in the back.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to think, ah. So basically, if our tongue is up in the back, then what happens is our air goes nowhere for it to go. So you want it to be a little bit down in the back, and then a little bit of your tongue in the front is going to be a little bit up. That makes sense, okay? Good. Now, I want you to blow from like your abs. It's kind of like if you're just, let's go back to elementary school, you know, and like your friend's way on the other side of the playground. You're like, hey, send me a swing, you know? So if you're yelling, if you have to yell loud, you know, you're not going to yell from here. You're going to like yell from your abs, right? Okay, so you're going to take a deep breath and try that G together. Let's do it together. Ready, go. Yeah, that's really good. So what you want to do is it sounds like your air is kind of all staying here, and you want it to kind of go out. You know, spread the COVID. Just kidding. Just kidding. Too soon? Too soon. Okay. G. Yeah, that's really nice. So the trick is you need to be able to like sustain that air. So I'm gonna do a little something that I did with melody with you just once. Do you do harmonics ever? Yeah. Okay. So I want you to finger a low C, and then I want you to play this G and just sustain it. Good. What dynamic would you say that is?
Mezzo forte.
Really? Okay. So I want it to be triple F. So open up all from your F. More. Good. And it's going to probably make your mouth shake a little bit. Make sure you don't lock your knees, because I don't want anybody calling me because I made their loved one faint. All right. And try it one more time on the harmonic. Good. What dynamic would you say that was?
Forte.
Really? Okay. So let's try for three Fs. Surprise yourself. Okay, I'll take it. Now add a little bit of vibrato. Good. Now you're going to do the exact same thing, but finger the regular G. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so now you're going to go. Yeah, and you want to make a statement. and you want to be unapologetic about it. That's the nice thing about the flute is we can kind of be people that we're not. You know what I mean? Like, you seem very polite and everything. I don't really want you to be polite right now. You can be polite when you put the flute back in the case. Okay. Yum, bum, 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 bum. Let's try it. Good. That's really good. Now, if you can shape that G for me, just put a little vibrato on it. I think it'll be really nice. Very nice. Okay, so now let's kind of get you going for a little bit. So start here and keep going. I'll stop you after a little while. Good. Very nice. Now, I'm going to be picky with you because I can. You obviously know this very well. Okay, so one thing that happens to professionals, beginners, intermediate, is sometimes when we have a dotted eighth and a 16th note, we tripletize it. So I'd rather you play this too late than too early. I'm going to play it 2 different times so you can see what I mean. So we don't want, let's see, I'll do. Just so it's really clear that it's a 16th note. So what I'm doing is I'm elongating the dotted eighth, but putting a little lift, and then playing a nice crisp 16th note. So let's just do the first 3 notes. You're going to do. There you go. And if you can add like a zhuzh of vibrato on the B. There we go. And you want to do that on all of them, and then really sustain the quarter. So. Good, and don't hold that air in. The nice thing is, you know, sometimes our brain is like, what are you doing? You're using up all my oxygen and trying to kill me, but you can take a breath soon. So don't be afraid to really, like, use your air. Let's do that again. That was much better. Yeah. Good. Now I want to be sort of, like, obnoxious about the vibrato on the dotted eighths. Do more vibrato than you think you should. We just want to shake it a little bit. And it's not even that our audience will hear it, it just adds a little bit of texture to the note. You want to try that? Good. How do you feel about vibrato? Do you feel comfortable?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay, because if we have time, which we will, I'll make sure there's time. I'll do a little vibrato exercise with you so you feel good. Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk about this. So we have, and then it happens again, right? So we want to do something different the second time. There's no wrong answer. What do you think we could do there?
We can change the dynamics.
Yes? What dynamic would you like to do?
For example, like make it softer the second time.
I like it.
And also make it more playful the
Sure.
second time.
Let's try that.
Okay.
So remember, you're a ballerina and your eyelashes are like this long. So you have to really exaggerate those dynamics.
see.
Okay? So let's start right there. Very nice. I love the soft one. The loud one can be even louder, believe it or not.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so let's go a little bit more, just so you have this beautiful contrast right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Very nice. Good, 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 good. So what I want you to do now, because you've put in so much work, is just bring the personality out and be way more extroverted. I want you to be really non-apologetic. Okay, now we're going to do a vibrato exercise, but I think it's going to also help just open up your sound in general. Okay, let's do, I don't know, maybe a G. Something nice and easy. And just hold your G for me. Good, and again, you want your air to go that way. Good. Okay, so now we're gonna do our gut puffs that we did earlier today. So you're basically gonna use your abs, ha, 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 and you're gonna do 4 quarter notes. You're gonna do good. Now we're gonna do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 like this. Good. And you want it to be as loud. We're not trying to be pretty yet. Just like loud and out there as possible. Try it one more time. Lots of space in your back teeth. Oh. Good. Now we're going to do triplets. Sixteenth notes. So do you hear how they got a little long sometimes? It's okay. It's just telling me that your air's a little bit slow. So try the 16th notes again and be just a little bit more aggressive with your air. There you go. Good. So if we were to notate that, that would be staccato, right? Now we're going to like merge them together. So we're going to go back to our 8th notes and you're going to merge them together. Very good. Yeah, and you want it to sound kind of seasick like that. Okay, now we've got triplets. 16th notes. Good. Try that one more time and see if you can get more of the waves. Yeah, so what I do is I practice controlled vibrato. So I'll pick a scale, any scale, and I'll do it on 60, 72, then 80, and I do 16th notes. You can do 1 octave if you're in a hurry, you can do 2 octaves if you're not, and then I speed it up and from 72 and then to 80, and then it kind of helps me be able to incorporate on a short note, having to add like quick vibrato on a short note. So then eventually, I usually don't go faster than 80 because then it kind of sounds like nanny goat-ish. But like 80 is like the nice number. So practice that. Just throw that into your warm-ups, and I think you'll feel way more comfortable, and I think you'll feel a little bit more comfortable being a little bit more stately and kind of extroverted when you start it. Very nice. Very good. Beautiful job. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, everybody. This is a great class. One more time, give a round of applause for everybody. Thank you.